Welcome to GBIRL, the podcast looking at the real business world of esports, gaming, and streaming with the people and personalities behind it all. Here is your host, Bill the Conqueror.
So everybody, welcome back to the podcast. I am, of course, Bill the Conqueror, and I'm always fascinated by those who play esports at a high level. I am more fascinated by the fact that what do those players do when they don't want to play anymore? What do you do with yourself? Because not only do these players start young, their careers are, to play more than maybe 2 or 3 years is at this point, it's almost unheard of. Yes, you have the people who play League like Bjergsen, who's played forever. We all know and we all love Bjergsen, and but he's an aberration. People come and people go. So what do you do when there's nobody gonna watch you play? And I have with me today a young man, and he's a former PUBG pro, has stories for days about orgs and events and things that will make you go, what the actual hell was that? And so he decided that there are things that need to happen in order for gamers and streamers to grow. And so I have with me the founder of Upforce Marketing, Nick Frankich. Nick, thank you very much for making time for me today, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate you bringing me on. I look forward to talking to you about gaming and business. It's what I love every single day.
Me too. It's part of the reason that I do this. So I guess, for people that don't know you, and it's really interesting when I say when people don't know you, people talk about the massive reach of esports, and they don't realize every single game is its own sport. So when you talk about football, we only talk about the NFL. But when you talk about esports, there's PUBG, there's Overwatch, there's League, there's Dota 2, there's CSGO, there's StarCraft 2. There's all these different sports. Those silos don't touch. Because I can guarantee you that people that are pro Street Fighter players probably don't talk to you as a former PUBG pro, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's pretty spread out.
So just talk about some background, who you are, how you got into esports, some of your accomplishments, things like that. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I guess I grew up in Florida. From a young age, I was playing hockey pretty much my whole life. I traveled the whole United States, Canada, everything. Was a pretty good hockey player. Ended up living in Rochester, New York, Minnesota for a little bit, Utah. Played there, and ended up going to college, NCAA, played NCAA hockey in New Hampshire. And during my first year, I was always a gamer my whole life. I played Call of Duty when I was a kid, just like everybody else. We did game battles, all that stuff.
Yep.
On controller and everything. And so what's funny is one summer, I think I was 17, 18 years old. Well, actually, it was the summer that Pokemon Go came out. I don't remember what year that was. Maybe it was, I don't know. Maybe I can't remember. I think it was like maybe 2015. Either way, I started a YouTube channel around when Pokemon Go came out.
Okay.
Me and my buddy, we kind of just like wanted to start a YouTube channel one summer because we were at home. I actually was like super sick, so I'm like, screw it, let's just start a YouTube channel. So I started a YouTube channel, made Pokemon Go videos. Didn't think anything of it, man. We were just having a good time making videos.
Right.
And my videos blew up. I had one video on my channel that went to like 500,000 views. And this is from somebody that didn't know anything about YouTube. Like I just literally recorded me playing Pokemon Go, and it got like 500K views. A couple got 100K, 250K, just like crazy numbers for a kid that was like just started it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I was mind blown from it. And that's kind of what got me into more of like the content creation role.
Okay.
So I got a gaming PC that summer. And didn't make any money from YouTube. I didn't even know how that worked, right? I just like made videos and just wanted to be popular with it. So got a gaming PC because I was watching Dr. Disrespect at the time, was playing H1Z1, and I'm like, oh my god, this is like the coolest game ever.
Yep.
I got my first PC, started playing that, started making videos on that, daily videos about news, anything that had to do with H1Z1, and ended up being one of the bigger H1Z1 YouTubers. Got 17K subs like instantly.
Wow.
And it was fun, man. I had a great time doing that, but then I started taking hockey super seriously because it was right before I was going to go to college, and
Yep.
I had a lot of offers to play at different places, and kind of either had to pick gaming, which was fun, but I just didn't see a future in it really, because H1Z1 itself was kind of dying. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna go play hockey and move to Utah and just like get ready for college. So I played my 2 years in Utah, and then randomly one day I got a notification on my phone like says your check is ready, or something like from Google AdSense. I'm like, okay, let's open it up, and I opened it up and it said like $2,500, and I'm like, holy crap, I made $2,500 from YouTube. Like, I was flipping out.
Wow.
And so I instantly put it in my bank account, and I started up my YouTube channel right up again, and then ended up making daily videos again about H1Z1, and then that's when PUBG started coming out, is when I transitioned over to college that next year. And I was making videos while I was playing hockey in college, and I had shoulder surgery that summer, so I had a bunch of off time, so I wasn't playing the whole first half of the season. So I was just practicing without getting hit, anything like that, and I ended up just falling in love with PUBG when it first came out. And then I made that decision at the end of the year, right at my last playoff game. I said I'm going full-time PUBG because this game is amazing and I'm really good at it.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to be a professional, because I always watched esports growing up and just loved the competing aspect to it. Right. And so I just want to be a professional, went all in on it, and I did it.
So for me, it's really interesting that you chose PUBG.
Mm-hmm.
You chose professional gaming. So many people know this. I come from a time before the internet. I am grateful for that, because all the stupid things that I did as a teenager will never be known outside of my own little circle of friends, never be on the internet. I've done all the stupid things that all the teenagers do, but no one will ever know because it's not on the internet. But
Exactly.
I've always extolled the virtues of competitive gaming. Why? Well, it's really hard to get it's really hard to tear your ACL playing PUBG unless something really wacky happens. I mean, your professional career is not going to be cut short by a CTE unless one of your teammates smashes you in the head with a keyboard or something.
Exactly. And you'll probably break the keyboard.
Exactly. So when colleges started getting on the esports, like you should call it, bandwagon, I was like, great, because you know what? This opens up opportunities to a ton of kids who would never play basketball, football, soccer, softball, tennis, golf, because they're not big enough, they're not strong enough, they're not fast enough, but they're smart enough, and they have enough awareness, and they've been playing this game for 8 years, 10 years, that they're good and they can get a scholarship for being good at Fortnite or PUBG. And I love that story. I love that I love that gaming brings hope to people and opens doors and gives opportunities, because it's just the most fabulous thing. However, I'm getting off track. So you decided to go full time. You love PUBG. You played for a couple of years, and those stories are great. I hope that at some point we get to them, because you got like deep industry knowledge that I want to like grab at some point. So at what point did you just decide, look, I love this game. Yes, it's fabulous. I get a giant rush, but I need to do more. I need to take my next step. I see a problem that I have to solve. And so what was that moment where you're like, as much as I love this, I have to eat. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Are you talking about business or just transitioning to be like full time?
So you finished your career as a hockey player. You went full time PUBG. You went full time content creator. What was that moment when you went from full time PUBG professional player playing in the NPL to, I'm going to start my own marketing business? Because for every founder, there's like one moment you're like, I just need to do this right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that moment for me, like honestly, came from my really bad ending to playing professional PUBG.
Okay.
I know we were talking about this before, but
Yeah.
I ended up getting on with a really amazing organization from called Low Key Esports from Vietnam. They were amazing. They had a team chef. They had so many things. A team house was ready for us to move in for Pro League, everything like that. And ended up, long story short, there's a lot that can go into this, and I can talk about this for literal months straight. But just to dig up the old past, basically, as a team, we wanted to get to Pro League 2 weeks early to get everything set up, to get practicing, get around each other, because the season, like, we wanted to get there a week early before every other team got there, just so we can just have the upper hand advantage and just be in a really good environment with each other and just practicing and all that stuff. And so we got there, 2 or 3 of us got there a couple days earlier than the others. And then when we showed up, the guy was like 2 hours late picking us up. We showed up at the house, like he was like delaying us to go to the house because he's like, they're cleaning up the house. We're just gonna have to like go eat or something. So we went to get some food. We ended up finally getting to the team house at like 9 p.m. And I'm from East Coast, so it was late. So
yeah,
I was like, we were all just like, all right, we just want to go home and just like go to like, we don't want to like be delayed anymore. So we show up and this place is a mess. There's like ink all over the ground. There's no furniture. There's no desks. There's no chairs. There's 3 beds for 5 grown men. There's no sheets, no pillows, no food. There's I'm telling you, there was no internet. We're gamers. We have no internet.
What?
And I can't make it up, man. I cannot make it up. We had no internet. We had nothing. It was basically a house and that's it. In the middle of the desert, essentially, because we were an hour east of Los Angeles, and we were playing in Los Angeles. So it was a shock. We honestly thought it was a joke. Like, we started laughing. And funny thing about it is they were a big content team, like, organization too. So they were recording our reactions. We're like, what is this? Like, is this a joke? Like, we literally were like, is this a joke? So so not to get too deep into that. That was just the start of just the downfall of everything. And so at that point, we ended up not getting paid. We ended up just struggling during the season, obviously, because we didn't have what we needed to practice or anything. So so after the season, we all went home, and that's when you kind of like when you're home during the holidays and everything, you just kind of put everything into perspective. You're like, do I want to keep doing this? Obviously, we're not going to be signed, and we're not going to be paid. It's just not going to really make sense to keep playing PUBG, especially with the state it was in at the end of 2019, with everything was just dying. Because when we first got into the game, it was the biggest game ever, like literally ever created on Steam, and it was just blown up and everyone was playing it. So it just made sense to go all in and just say, all right, I'm going to be a professional in this game, because he thought, okay, we're going to be rich. Like, literally, we're going to make a lot of money playing this game professionally, and it just makes sense. We're going to have a lot of fun. But anyways, you get to that point where you're just like, what the heck do you do? I was still taking college classes. I was literally in my last year. So I was like, do I either like just sit at home and finish college, or do I get a job? Like, I knew I didn't want to get like a normal job at like McDonald's or Walmart or something that just to pay the bills. I couldn't do that for myself. And so I ended up choosing just to finish college and keep playing video games. And my fiance was paying the bills, and it was bad, man. I really was super depressed for a couple months. And then just like everyone that starts a business and just starts to like just transition their like change their life for the better, they just hit that wall, and they just hit that point where you just say enough's enough. I've had enough of not making any money, not doing anything like good in my life. Just I need to change. And so I took it upon myself to just separate myself from not having money in that situation ever again, and just either like initially I wanted to make as much, I wanted to be a millionaire. Like I just wanted to make as much money as possible and just never ever have to worry about paying for something or paying the bills or anything like that. So that was my initial drive. That all kind of stemmed from the issues with the organization. And so I just took that summer of 2020, pretty much from March until, I mean, even now, was driving Uber Eats, DoorDash. I was literally just making as much money as I possibly could doing that. And I will say, you can make good money doing that. That is,
yes, you can.
It is amazing how much money you can make for, like, I'm talking $200 a day every single day if you wanted to. So it's super good. So I while I was doing that, I was reading audiobooks about money, finance, investing, real estate, like just anything that you could think of that had to do with becoming rich and just how to make money work for you. I was reading 3 to 4 books every week, nonstop, every single day, 8 to 10 hours a day. I was reading books. Wow. And it just completely changed my life. And that's how I started this idea to start my own business. And it's been unbelievable. This whole year has been like 2 ends of the spectrum. Like it's unbelievable.
So it's really, really interesting to me the resilience of the human spirit, and how some people will take a moment and it just becomes burned into their mind and into their soul and they can't get beyond it. And then there are others like yourself. You're like, you know, I was doing what I love. This was the awesomest thing I could possibly do. I mean, you were living the dream that a lot of people have. Like, hey, a professional PUBG player. I'm in an org. We're gonna play in the MPL. We got a house, and then like that, you don't. It's done. It's like we thought we had all this support. We were gonna be awesome. We were gonna be the best team ever, and then not. And for many people, they get locked into that, you know, I'm done, I'm crushed, and you decided no, there's more out there. And it's I think that the experience of college, the fact that you played hockey, the fact that you were good at something else before you were good at PUBG was one of those things. Like, okay, I loved that. I was also good at hockey, which means I can be good at other things too.
Exactly.
And that's, for me, that's one of the things that I love watching is people like, you know, it's silly and it's often cliche, but there was that scene from Rocky, I think it's Rocky 6, when Rocky's talking to his son and says, it's not how hard you it's not how hard you get hit, but how hard you can get and keep moving. Because I mean, at your age, and I have some years on you, so I have the perspective, but at your age, that must have been like soul crushing for you, right?
Oh, it was terrible. Like it was like the move from hockey to esports was kind of a no-brainer for me, because a lot of my teammates were going to play semi-pro, and I mean, I wouldn't even say they were playing professionally. The really, really good ones, and I will say I was considered to be one of the really, really good ones. Like, and I probably could have done something pretty decent with hockey, but the reality of it was I was probably gonna make 30K, like average like 30K a year, just beating my body up. I love hockey, don't get me wrong, like I miss playing it, but for 30K, it just doesn't, even for 100K, it just doesn't make sense to me. So that was the point where I was like, all right, it makes more sense to be a gamer and just like live the life right now, and go for it, because the potential is way greater. And it's just something also that I love doing. So, but yeah, when when you hit that wall and you're just get everything taken away from you, it's terrible, man. It's like you either, like you said, you either just roll over and just let life just beat you down, and you know, you just don't do anything about it. And that happens to 99% of people, unfortunately. Like a lot of people are they just give up, I guess, or they don't really know how. But the reality of it is, like, nobody knows how, you know, like nobody knows what to do, especially in business. Like you just have to do it. And so that's for the most people that are similar to me. They just hit that wall, and they just hit that point where they have had enough, and then everything turns green from there.
So before we move on, let's give a quick shout out to your fiance for staying with you, because it when you're climbing out of the hole, it's a lot easier. It's a lot more rewarding when you have somebody there with you. So talk about your fiance real quick. Go ahead.
Yeah, she's amazing. We're actually high school sweethearts. We met in 10th grade English class.
Wow!
And
oh, holy crap!
Yeah, it's hard to come by these days. It's like really hard to come by. But yeah, she stuck with me through all my hockey ventures. I was moving. Like I moved to Rochester, New York. I moved to all these different places. We did the long distance thing, and honestly, it was really tough. But it was good. It worked out. And then being a pro gamer was even worse because I was finally like, yeah, I'm coming home, and then like, sorry, I'm gonna have to go move to Los Angeles and play video games. Like it was rough. But seriously, huge shout out to her. She's super supportive with anything that I want to do. It's honestly a blessing.
Awesome. And I have to say, you are a fortunate man to have somebody in your life like that. Hold on to her. Don't let her go. Do everything you can to keep her around. Just saying, those people are hard to come by. All right. Now, all the backstory, and you had these, and you read the books, and you pulled yourself out of that hole. You drove Uber Eats. You did well. Why start a marketing business, marketing agency, a media company? It seems like to me that, I don't know, there's a lot of them out there. Maybe some of them get it when it comes to the gaming side. Maybe some of them don't. Maybe it just seems like to me that there are a lot of reasons not to do something, but I'm sure that you have a whole bunch of reasons to do it.
Right. When I was thinking about just brainstorming ideas, first off, you want to figure out like what's a problem in this world and gaming. For me, I just wanted to be involved in gaming and esports as much as possible without really being involved in it.
Right.
So I just was like, what is a problem in esports? And a major one for me was professional players do not have something to fall back on. I did not have something to fall back on. I went all in on PUBG and it didn't work out. All of these players, the top 64 players in North America all went to MPL, and they did not have anything at all to fall back on. They didn't have content. They didn't have a job. They didn't have anything. So that was a major issue that nobody was. It was a huge hole in esports. So that's something that I initially thought of as a big problem. And I will say there are a lot of esports agency and gaming agencies that link businesses like, I don't know, like a company like Adobe and they just do sponsorship activations, and they do a bunch of content for them, social ads, all that stuff. And there is a lot of that. There's a lot of player agencies. There's a lot of people that are just trying to take slices of the pie. They're really just trying to make money out of it. And that, I could be wrong, but that is usually what happens, especially in esports when everyone knows it's booming. Everyone just like wants to get involved. A lot of these companies they just want to get involved in esports somehow, but they don't know how. So they're like, okay, let's just take part of the money that they're making and just help them like get sponsors with our connections. So that's kind of that's the way I saw it. And really, when I was starting this business with Upforce Marketing, I don't focus on the competition. I don't focus on who else is out there. I just really want to focus on what I can do and what I can like provide value to the clients and streamers and pro players, because really there's no company or business out there that helps pro players and these mid-level streamers grow and really just helps them. They like I said, they just want to take a piece of the pie. That's not how we work, and that's not what I'm about and what Upforce Marketing is about. We want to help people grow. We want to help those pro players have sustainable future like after gaming and competing.
Right.
And that's really what separates us from all these other companies.
So from all the books that you've read about making money work for you in business, I'm sure that you've come across the concept of a startup pitch. So go ahead and give me your startup pitch, because I wanna understand your value more than just, I want to help X demographic. So go ahead.
So to be completely honest, I don't have like a startup pitch. I don't have. I right now I work with my network of professional players and people that I've met along the way in gaming, and it's more of a personal experience than more of like a business aspect, if that makes sense. So I don't actually have a business pitch. I don't even have a business plan. I really don't think a business plan is needed at all, as long as you have everything streamlined and everything makes sense. Like I said, for me, it really just comes down to helping people, and I don't really care about the business side too much. I only care about helping people grow and helping the professional players have career after gaming by creating content for them.
So it's interesting that you say that, because I've heard people on both sides of the spectrum. You have to have a business plan, you have to have a roadmap, and then there are some people like, I don't need one, because I have a good direction of where I want to go. I could see a point at which, if you're doing this in 5 years, that you scale to a point where you have multiple staff members like, okay, we gotta have a structure, we gotta have a plan. That's one of the awesome things about gaming and esports and streaming, is that you can help multiple people, and it can be you and like one other person, maybe two, and you can help a ton of people. As long as you schedule your day correctly, as long as you're efficient, as long as your expectations are clear, and that's and that's a skill. It doesn't just happen. That's a skill, and a lot of people struggle with that. And I think that speaks right back to your experiences, your non-gaming experience, because when you're a hockey player, when you're a softball player, a soccer player, whatever, you have to have a structure. Okay, I'm going to get up at X time. I have to eat this food. I have to be out the door with my gear ready to go. I have to be at practice. Here we're going to run this drill for 10 minutes, this drill for half an hour. We're going to sit in film for, it's one of those things that is ingrained in an athlete very, very early. Routine, structure, a repeatable tasks that help you get better in small steps. So in your path that you've traveled so far, who are some of the people? Maybe we know them, maybe we don't. Like, who are your mentor? Who are your best teachers, mentors along along the way?
So I would definitely have to shout out a couple of guys. I definitely wouldn't say they're too much of mentors, but they've definitely been helping me a lot through the last couple of months with business and just transitioning from being a player to more of a businessman in esports and gaming. The first one is Hugh Nguyen. He's the owner of GBIRL Burger. It's a nice, really nice burger restaurant in South. It's in LA. And he's a super good guy. He's very involved in esports, and he just really wants to help as many people as possible through his restaurant. He works with up and coming communities and just the lower income communities, and helping them grow as people and individuals through his restaurant and through gaming activations as well. And also Brian Williams, he works with a bunch of the schools. STEM, he works with just a bunch of kids, and same thing, helping as many people as possible while also creating a really solid business around it. And those two people have helped me a lot. Also Corey, he was one of my managers with me. He was really, really great with the transition in esports. But yeah, to get back to what I was saying, or what you were commenting on, the business plan, I really don't think that a business plan is needed unless you're going for venture capital or you're going for investors. This isn't something that I didn't want to start a business right away that needed investors. I wanted to have it be self-funded. I have obviously a team working with me. Right. It's just it wasn't something that is needed, because we have a whole process. We have a daily process. I mean, I do the same. Like, I have to go through a process every single day. And I plan out my week. Like, my days are crazy now. I go from like driving in a car every single day to this now. It's crazy.
Right.
And just being in meetings. But yeah, you don't really need a business plan. You obviously have to have a plan. You have to. It's more. I'm a visual person, so having a business plan is good. But I like being more visual on. I use Google Drive,
Hmm.
and I just have everything scheduled out. Every job, every email, everything is planned out to a T. So it's just really easy. So literally anyone could just step in the business if they and do it. You know what I mean? So it's everything's very streamlined. There's no confusion. We work together. We have weekly meetings. It's really really good.
Awesome. It sounds to me like you actually have a direction that you're going, and that probably stems from all the books you read. I mean, if you're reading 3 books a week, you're consuming a lot of thoughts and a lot of high end thinking. So if there was a group of people, one or two, maybe more, that you would want to model yourself after on a professional level, people who have maybe worked further up the ladder than you, and it doesn't just have to be people in gaming. I know I some of my favorite insights into business come from non-gaming people that have been doing this for much longer than me, and that have had successful businesses in many industries. Who do you want to be like?
I really don't model myself after anybody. I
Okay.
obviously look up to a couple of people that I just am like, wow, they do the right things.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, I don't. I really just focus on myself. I focus on bettering myself, especially during this first year, since I am relatively new to the business world and business in general.
Mm-hmm.
Like managing people, like making sure everything's good. So I really do not look up to anybody. I just focus on bettering myself every single day, just getting better every single day, helping as many people as I possibly can. If our editors need help with anything, like I'm always there. I talk to them every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's strictly online. So yeah, I really don't. I really don't look up to anybody in that sense, because I'm so busy really focusing on myself and making sure everything is good on my end and getting better all the time.
It sounds very much to me like you. It sounds very much to me like you had some strong parents when you were a kid. Is that you had two people in your life like, okay, we love you, we're gonna give you this opportunity, we're gonna support you, we're gonna teach you the things to know, and it breeds like an inner confidence to know I have my parents behind me. I'm going to do dumb stuff as a teenager because that's what teenagers do, but they're still going to love me and it's going to be okay. It just sounds like to me that you had really awesome parents.
Yeah, my parents were pretty good. They were pretty good. They were really good. No, they were great. They separated when I was 3 years old.
Okay.
And it was like a constant battle between those two all the time when I was growing up, which is fine. It just thickened my skin a lot more, you know.
Oh, okay.
And they were really great, both of them for their different reasons. I'm more of a logical thinker. I'm
Okay.
someone that just it has to make sense to me logically. And if it doesn't, then I won't do it.
Okay.
So for an example, just as investing, it makes logical sense to invest in something that will make you money
Right.
consistently rather than maybe make you money. Like that's just something that's logical. And
Right.
obviously there's a lot more to it and a lot more to break down, but just in a logical sense of things, I've always been somebody that it just has to make sense, or else I won't do it. So as far as the business, it's kind of built in that sense where you logically it makes sense to make a ton of content when you see other people, like the top people are doing it. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's the only way to grow these days. There's so much competition on Twitch, on YouTube,
Right.
across all social platforms, and those who are putting in the time, putting in the work, putting in the energy, or outsourcing it and hiring a team to do it for
Right.
them,
Right.
those are the ones that end up growing consistently. And it's like all the information is right there in front of you, and some people are just blind to the fact that that they're just not. They're like, why am I not growing? Why am I not getting bigger and famous. Well, you are just streaming, like you're just playing the game and people are watching. You're not doing anything to attract more people.
Right.
And that's where we come in. So
it's really interesting that you say it that way. It's really interesting to me that you played hockey, and hockey comes off as this ferocious game that people just skate around the ice and beat the snot out of each other. When in reality, right. But I mean, there are players like yourself. There are players like Wayne Gretzky, who was just this smooth thinker on the ice, and he could see 2-3 passes ahead. But he had to have players behind him like Marty McSorley. He had to have that kind of a person behind him, because there's definitely a place for people to run around and smash each other, but you have to be able to think in motion. And so I don't think people really understand the value of playing a physical sport at a high level, and how it forces you to work as a team, how it forces you to put your ego aside. I mean, I'm sitting here listening to you talk, and it's like my parents split up, and my org that I went screwed me over, and I was depressed, and I was driving Uber Eats, and I was really fortunate to have a fiance who stuck with me. It's like all this crap happens to you, but setting your ego aside and going, the most logical way to make money is this. This is what I've learned in the face of all this adversity. What is it?
And COVID.
Oh yeah, and COVID. What is it in you? I guess the question is this: what makes you keep getting back up?
It's passion, man.
Okay.
Just from hockey, I was so passionate. I was always the one in the other guy's ear, just screaming at them, getting under their skin. I would never fight. I would leave that up to our fighters.
Right.
But I would be the one that just draws penalties all the time. I loved hip checks. I love flipping kids. That was kind of like my trademark. And I loved, above all of that, was scoring goals. And I was a defenseman.
Okay.
So scoring goals didn't really come by often, but I just loved it. But it was just passion. I love, like, whatever I do, I'm 100,000% invested in it, and I just put blinders on everything else. I only want to see I won't stop until I see the end goal. It's the same thing as a professional esports player. I will play video games 16 hours a day, and I was terrible. Let me say, I was not a good player. When I first started, I had to work 10 times harder than every single person, because PUBG was basically my first PC game, like H1Z1, you could call it my first PC game. But I did not know, like, I watched myself when I first started playing PUBG, and I was so bad. Like, it was like I was playing with my left hand instead of my right, and I'm right-handed, so it was like, It was bad. And when I when I go all in on something, I go all in, and I make sure that it ends up happening. And it just all stems from passion. You have to surround yourself with people that have the same passion or have the same drive as you, and that's what really helps you. It's the same thing in business as well. When I said enough's enough and I'm going to make as much money as possible, yeah, you want to make as much money as possible and become a millionaire. Everyone wants money, right? But that changed for me when you realize that when you chase money and like you really want to become a millionaire, it's not about money. It's more about helping people. When you help as many people, if you help 1 million people fix a problem, then money's just going to come. And you can't just be focused on money, and you can't be focused on like an actual number. You have to be focused on how many people can you help, how much can you provide value to people without expecting anything in return. And then good things will always happen to you. And beginning of my journey, as if I'd call it something, it'd be like my journey this year. It would just, the change happened when you realize that it's all about helping as many people as possible.
Wow. I I genuinely hope that people are inspired by your story, because I see your focus, and I see your passion, and I keep on coming back to this. You did stuff outside of gaming before you got into gaming, and I think that right there is the key, is that you learn lessons early from that coach that made you run, or made you skate every line for an hour. Because why? Because you needed it, because you need to focus, need to discipline, need to work hard, and then you take those lessons that you've learned into the next phase of your life.
And coming from Florida as a hockey player, I was always at a disadvantage every year.
Okay.
I was always at a disadvantage, just like because Canadians have cold
Right.
weather, and it's in their blood. They literally come out of their parents, and they're born with skates on, like literally.
Yep.
That's how it is. So I was always at a disadvantage. So you have to I remember I made a team, a really good team at a young age. I was literally one of two of the youngest people on the team.
Right.
And I made this team because I dropped the gloves and I fought a veteran in training camp, essentially.
Wow.
And I actually beat him too. And
wow.
It was luck, but
yeah.
But yeah, so it was pretty. I was always. It's just passion.
Right.
Passion fuels everything in business, in life. As long as you have a passion for it, you're going to be successful at it.
So I like that little tidbit right there. Yeah, I fought this guy older than me. I won. I got lucky, but I won. I like that. Yeah. That's a good story. So I guess you got this really cool backstory. You got all these strengths. Your focus is great. In the next 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, where do you see yourself?
This was a tough one for me because the last 8 months of my life, I literally I went from zero to this. Like it's just
right.
To think about the next 6 months, it's like, okay, well, maybe I'm gonna own the world. Like it's crazy, but realistically, I would say 6 months, even shorter than 6 months, probably around 4 to 6 months. I would definitely like to have, business wise, I want to have around 10 clients consistently. And be working with them on a monthly basis and just growing them. I think that's definitely a realistic number. Right now we're working with 3, and then in the next week it's going to bump up to 5.
Nice.
But we definitely want to work with 10 clients consistently and make sure just be data driven and really focus on improving just their numbers and really just proving that what we do works. That's definitely in the next 6 months. Right. I do think really long term, like I am trying to figure out more of like a long term vision for what we want to do.
Right.
But I would say a year from now, it's tough.
Right.
I want to be working with bigger clients. I think in a year, there's a couple opportunities that I see that are also issues that a lot of sports players. I'm connected with. Obviously the NHL, a bunch of NHL players,
right?
NFL players, they're all gamers. Like, so I can't explain to you how many people who are pro sports players love gaming and love streaming and just love that aspect of it.
Right.
And so I think in the next 12 months, we're going to see a lot of those players a lot of them are starting organizations now, but a couple of them are going to want to be like full-time streamers after they're done competing and after they're done playing in the NFL or NHL or whatever sport they're in.
Right.
Because it's just obviously a good way to make money, and they could leverage their following from sports.
Right.
And because it transitions really easily into gaming and esports. So that's definitely something that I am looking into now, is to work with a lot of those professional players, and it's kind of the same thing as working with esports players, working with NFL and NHL players. So I think that's really easy, creating content for them, and just really helping them build their brands while they're playing football or hockey or whatever.
Right.
And then 24 months, 2 years down the road, that is crazy far for me.
Right.
But I would say even sooner than 24 months, but within 24 months, definitely, I am working on figuring out a system on, so where I work with and focus on the middle tier people. I call it the middle tier and they're not really middle tier. It's just like top tier is like Ninja and all those guys that are Nick Works, who are making millions of dollars a month just streaming and in content. But I'm working with those middle tiers who are the professional players who aren't making enough content to sustain long term, and also those Twitch streamers and well, it doesn't matter if it's Facebook, Twitch, or YouTube. Anyways, there's streamers who have grown their streams tremendously over the last year, but aren't making YouTube content, aren't making social media content, TikTok, all that stuff. So those are the people who we focus on now. But in 24 months, it's how can we bring those to the next step? How can we bring in sponsors for them? How can we help them with media rights contracts? Right. And either that's a player agency, but I don't really want to be called a player agency because I just think of an agent as like someone who just like kind of leeches and just like tries to get money out of them. You know what I mean? So I don't know why I just think about that, but it's kind of true. But yeah, I just want to help them get sponsors and help sponsorship activations and help with all that stuff, which we are doing now. But it's not as much of a focus for me at this point. But yeah, so that's kind of like my goals for the next 2 years.
Awesome, sir. So you have a great head on your shoulders. I've said this multiple times. I'll say it again. You have experience outside of esports. You have experience outside of gaming that has taught you lessons that you now bring into gaming, which this industry desperately needs. Oh my goodness, it makes my brain hurt that people are. I saw a video, some 8-year-old kid gets a $33,000 signing bonus to sign with an org, and I'm like, oh no, what are we creating? What are we making?
But those kids are ordering food and new shoes, and they're wasting that $30,000 too. But dude, it's just all part of it.
It's an 8-year-old child, so you just. My brain goes right to the parents are going to suck every dollar they can out of this kid, and he's going to turn 18 and have nothing. Oh my gosh. Anyway, getting off on a tangent. Thank you very, very, very much, Nick, for making time for me. You have an awesome story. I encourage everyone, follow Upforce Marketing. Check out upforcemarketing.com, at Upforce_media on Twitter. Is there any place else that people can find you, Nick?
Yeah, other than that, just TikTok. TikTok is at Upforce Marketing. We're just going to be posting a bunch of the work that we do for our clients and just kind of getting our name out there a little bit more on TikTok, just to show that we make TikTok videos as well as YouTube video edits and a whole bunch of other things that we do. So
groovy stuff. Thank you very much for making time for me today, Nick. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me here.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for showing up. Like, share, subscribe, all the good stuff, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you for tuning in today. You can find links to everyone on the show in the description below. Check out Bill the Conqueror on Twitch and Twitter to stay up to date on his thoughts and ideas about gaming culture.